In Joan Didion's 1968 book of essays, Slouching Towards Bethlehem, the author cites a W.B. Yeats poem describing a vision of the second coming as the apocalyptic arrival of a sphinx-like, quote, rough beast, its hour come round at last, slouching towards Bethlehem to be born. She uses this to describe her anxiety towards the psychedelic movement and the grief of cultural change and increasing effects of mass media on society. In the preface, Didion states, I had been paralyzed by the conviction that writing was an irrelevant act, that the world as I understood it no longer existed, and if I were ever to be able to work again, it would be necessary for me to come to terms with disorder.
Autumn of 2022. I find myself pulling up to an invite-only hippie festival in the mountains outside Bethlehem, PA, in a black Mustang, which is a car that makes it seem like I'm trying to compensate for a lack of masculinity that I otherwise feel like I wear pretty well, and my friends call the Batmobile, which hurts my feelings a little. And I step out of my black car in my black coat, and I'm immediately surrounded by tie-dye and paper lanterns and flowers, and I'm not properly dressed for the revolution. And my trippy friend who invited me, he comes up to me and he greets me in that very special, very loving way that only the furthest out of hippies can pull off, you know. He says, Will, thank you so much for bringing your light. And I made some joke about how, like, well, actually, I think I brought a little bit too much darkness with me instead, man. And he says in response, in the most loving and terrifying way imaginable, yeah, man. You embody the darkness. The last thing you want is to have somebody on the peak of a spiritual experience tell you that you embody darkness. And he shows me around the campgrounds, and we're surrounded by countless beautiful, perfect, albeit stinky people, dancing and painting and loving and simply celebrating the joy of being alive. And at the center of it all is this enormous bonfire, some 8 feet tall, that's set to be lit around nightfall. And I attempt to spend the next few hours socializing, but that's not something I'm good at even when I'm not a year and a half into a fucking 2-year-long identity crisis and embodying darkness. And when nighttime comes, it brings with it the, I would guess, roughly 60-pound bag of psilocybin mushrooms. And I must have said, fuck it. Because the next thing I know, my senses are all mixed up. Like, I can hear colors, especially the really salty ones. And the music looks ridiculous, which of course tastes awful, and I'm ticklish, so that stinks. And I am wandering uninvited, unwelcome, and unexpected through strangers' campsites in the dark, like I'm the ghost of the boy who drowned here 20 years ago today. Each step through this dark, muddy wood, taking on yet another layer upon layer upon layer of this ever-blooming, ever-tessellating, tie-dye spiral fractal of personal meaning, and paper lanterns hanging in the dark were painting these incredible Monets of all the quietest thoughts that I'd ever had and had never before been able to hear over all the noise inside my head. And I'm not crying, okay, I'm Batman. And I eventually stumble back upon the bonfire, and there's my trippy friend already waiting for me. And he says, Will, thank you so much for bringing your darkness. You almost missed the pants. And countless people have gathered around the bonfire by now to space out to the flames or whatever. And over the hours, the wood in it has crumbled into a shape that vaguely resembles a standing pair of disembodied legs. And they're all giggling and murmuring, the pants, the pants. They love the fucking pants. And then I look at the pants. Pants. On fire. Liar. Liar. Liar, liar, pants on fire. I'm living a lie, and a liar's pants must burn. And so I dash towards the bonfire, and with one fell swoop of my embodied darkness, kicked the pants over, sending sparks up into the air and pants-worshipping hippies into a panic. And they all shout, "No, Will, the pants!" And I say, "I'm sorry, I have to change my life. A bloody knife to split your infrastructure, wine to rev your motor function, coital machinations of the dead."